Just 7 weeks to go before the local government elections. Political parties, of course, it's become a race against the clock, including for the IEC. They now have to launch their manifestos and try and carry out successful campaigns. Well, how effective can these campaigns be given the limited time they have?
Well, as you said, it's 7 weeks to go, and I guess they have to make do with what they have because there's no other timetable. The 1st of November is upon us, and the South Africans actually will go to the polls on that day. But the reality is that while in South Africa there may have been expectation that we will, or rather a wish that these elections be postponed, the reality is that they've been held in other jurisdictions, including some of our neighbors in Zambia and in Uganda. And we do know that parties like the EFF do have their election campaign launch on the 26th. Well, we also know that other parties are trying various things, including the UDM, actually, which has earlier today released some of their manifesto, so to speak, where they shared a pamphlet of what they are promising as we go into this election. And to talk to us further about their plans for these elections is the leader of the UDM, who joins us now, Bantu Holomisa. General, thank you very much for your time. When I look at your manifesto document, look at the first page. Obviously, it's littered with the failures of the ANC from 1994 until now. The question is, do you think that's still an effective campaigning tool, given the fact that, given all those failures, the ANC still has won the successive elections in this country?
The truth of the matter is that when you talk to the people of South Africa, you need to picture a state of the nation, rather depict the state of the nation. So we are telling the people that here is the party, the UDM, which has been betting on a wicket of anti-corruption from time immemorial. We have traced this history of corruption from the day of Sarafina II, as well as the arms deal, up to this stage of the Zondo Commission and so on and so on. So we are painting a picture where we say the SOEs have collapsed, everything is in tatters, the infrastructure is collapsing, and now what do we do as a way forward at local government level? At local government level, we are saying to our members, if you win a municipality, you must make sure that you work closely with your neighbors, neighboring municipalities, as well as the provincial and the national government, because certain competencies are not responsible of the local government.
Sure.
Like bulk water, housing, you have to work with the national department, but you provide the land for building houses. Also, we are talking about creating jobs. If you look at the way South Africa is filthy today, out of this lack of waste management, if you come up with a strategy, you can create more jobs for the people whilst you are teaching them to inculcate a culture.
And General, I want us to drill into some of those, actually, those promises. Let's start of creating jobs. And you talk about reviving local economies. And I know that you draw most of your support from the Eastern Cape. I think in 2016 you got 3.5% of the support in that area. And you talk about reviving old industrial zones. And we know we've got towns there like Dimbaza that are in ruins, and government has not been able to revive those. And you talk of removing the red tape. How exactly? First of all, I think, what is this red tape that you talk about that is blocking local economies, including townships, from prospering economically? And also, how do you intend removing it?
Well, these days, I think we have technology. And there's no need anymore to go to the Department of Trade and Industry to apply for a license. People must be helped closely. In other words, you need to have ICT centers in the townships, in the rural areas, close to schools or clinics. In those ICT centers, people can go and register there. and then immediately they are in the system. Within 15 minutes, a person has registered his company. So that's part of removing this bureaucracy.
I would imagine then something like, I mean, the ICT sector being one of them, or access to technology being one of those. The reality here is that local economies still rely on trading. Like, you still have spaza shops, you still have abomama who are selling fruit and vegetable and other wares. Now, how do you make sure that those economies, those local economies, those poor communities are able to turn around the situation, especially given the tension that we see now in townships between locals and foreign spaza shop owners, foreign-owned spaza shop owners?
The policy is going to differ from one area to the other. You may find that the townships are closer to food market. They can go and buy stuff at cheaper prices and go and service the people in the townships. But in the rural areas, if you were to invest more on agro-industry, encourage them to produce food in their own gardens and mealie fields, and feed themselves first, and then if there is a surplus, you assist them to get a market. So there are things which you can do practically. Let's say, for instance, those people who are owning gardens, almost every household in the rural area, you'll find that they've got a garden, a fenced off. Why would you not encourage people to invest on piggery? And that the feed for that piggery comes from that garden.
Sure.
And then instead take those pigs when they are grown up to the market, and then you see people, the big companies arranging to buy those pigs and feed them.
Sure, General. I want us to get to the other issues that you enumerate in your manifesto. We know that 2016, particularly Nelson Mandela Bay, was good for the UDM. You've had deputy mayors, and I think you currently also have a deputy mayor now. I would imagine that perhaps that's where you would focus. Is that where you'll be focusing your attention going into this election? And does it matter who your coalition partner is?
The acting mayor now, Lupolo in Port Elizabeth, is doing a tremendous job. And it's a pity that the mayor is not well after he got into accident. But that combination of the two, since they have taken over the reins, is working so well for us. How I wish that whoever will form a coalition, if there will be a coalition in Port Elizabeth, they would put the interest of the people first, not be worried about their personal egos.
Now, quickly, in 10 seconds, General, what areas are you focusing on? What areas are you looking at, aiming for in this election?
We have councillors, as you know, in Northwest. We have Northern Limpopo. We have people there who are contesting. We have areas in KwaZulu-Natal, and then the Eastern Cape, of course.
Sure.
And Gauteng. The current chairperson of SCOPA of Gauteng, Greater Johannesburg Municipality, is a UDM person.
All right.
So he has been doing a wonderful job, Mamnontenja.
Thank you.
So, but we don't make much noise, but we work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bantu Holomisa. He is the leader of the United Democratic Movement, coming there with their expectations for these local government elections. Well, Kathy, between now and the 1st of November, we will bring these periodic, in fact, these leaders of various parties talking about their respective manifestos, as we'll also be ramping up our own coverage of the elections. And tomorrow, of course, there is that important briefing by the Minister of Cooperative Governance, Dr. Nkosazana